meeting to order of the January 2024 Oconee County Library Board of Trustees meeting. I appreciate you all joining us here in this bright new building that is still under construction, but we're excited to be here and excited to have our very first meeting here in this facility in Wire Park in the city of Watkinsville as part of the new library branch for Oconee County. So I'll call the meeting to order. We do have a quorum. We have a couple members who are on the board of trustees not able to make the meeting today, but we're going to go ahead and get started. We've got a lot of names on the sign-up sheet for public comments, so I'm going to go ahead and get to those. Remember, we're trying to limit all comments to 3 minutes. Make sure you address the board, and if you could be concise with your comments, make sure that we can understand what it is that you're saying. And I'll go ahead and I'll just go read through the list as they were presented on the sign-up sheet. I apologize if I say the name incorrectly. Everybody who signed up. The first name is Danielle Boneo.
Good afternoon. I'm Danielle Bonanno. I am the Executive Director of Inclusive Recovery Athens, and I'm also the President of Athens Pride and Queer Collective. Both are LGBTQ focused organizations that advocate for the LGBTQ plus community. Today we want to find ourselves here debating whether or not books with queer characters will be allowed to reach the hands of queer youth. I honestly cannot believe we have to continually revisit this topic. As a society, we must recognize that educational excellence and diversity, equity, and inclusion go hand in hand. Our public library has a responsibility to embrace DEI principles. They are, without a doubt, interdependent. Every person, irrespective of their past or path, should have the freedom to learn in an environment that not only ensures their safety, but also celebrates and reflects their diverse heritage and life perspectives through the books they read. We are discussing a public library here. Here, LGBTQ plus youth deserve access to literature that fosters a sense of belonging and facilitates their learning. It is crucial, especially in a climate where misinformation is being spread. Extremist hate groups want to limit children's freedom of information for their own gain. It's essential for us to consider the principles of separation of church and state as we navigate these discussions. In reality, all we ask for is equal access to literature for our children. No one is trying to make straight kids gay or cis kids trans. That's not even possible. We are just trying to ensure that queer kids can continue to learn, be safe, and thrive, which is not too much to ask. So, let's not move or remove any books from the library shelves today. Let's also not align with hate groups. Instead, let parents retain the choice to bring their children to a public library, which in turn will create a space where everyone is welcome and diversity is celebrated. Thank you.
The next name I have on the list is Thea Candy.
Hi. So I'm Thea. I'm a veteran, I'm a teacher, and I'm a trans woman. And I want to thank everyone who's on the library board. Libraries have always been important to me. They've been a safe haven throughout my entire life. When rest stops, gas stations, and restaurants are unsafe, I find the nearest library, and they've always been safe and affirming spaces. Georgia, the state, has made it clear through legislation that Georgia is not for queer children. When their existence is debated on the Senate floor, or when a school bans them from bathrooms and sports, but libraries let them exist. And these stories that we're talking about aren't telling them who to be. These stories tell them that it's okay for them to be who they are. Everyone here was once a child, and you found yourself in stories. Stories show us that it's going to be okay. That we'll be okay because we aren't alone. And queer kids feel alone enough without these attacks on their books. Please keep these books where they belong. That is where they save the most lives. Thank you.
Thank you. So the next name on the list is Greg, and I have a hard time, starts with an H is the last name. I can't read that.
It's Hagedorn.
been doing. Thank you, Greg.
I support the subcommittee's recommendation to not ban books. Americans invented public libraries so all people can read freely. And I have enjoyed using public libraries in 19 states and territories to better understand things, both good and bad. When I needed help with my reading, I would ask. I didn't need to be, have imposed banning of books or information. Years ago, the United States government banned the topic of cancer by Henry Miller for being too exclusive. I lived in Dearborn, Ohio at the time, and the book was removed from the public library with some fanfare. When it happened, the members of my 9th grade class all knew that they somehow had to find that book to see what the fuss was about. And it was an unintended consequence of book banning. My young grandchildren like to read about all kinds of things, and their parents monitor their reading and teach them to consider what are facts, opinions, and falsehoods. They have friends and family with orientations and relationships different from their own. So if they have questions, they can talk to their friends and family, or read books with facts and varying opinions, but only if the books are available. So please don't ban the books. Thank you.
Thank you, Greg. Number 4 on the list is Susanna Himmel.
Susanna Heimel, I'm an Oconee County resident. I'd first like to ask, are we sure everybody who is speaking here is actually an Oconee County resident? Is there anyone going to verify that? Because I honestly feel, as an Oconee County resident, that if you are not an Oconee County resident, you know who you are, you should not be speaking in a meeting here when we are speaking about the Oconee County Library. Is anybody going to check into that? That would be my first question. Secondly, anybody who's looked into this understands that this is not a book banning issue. That is a tag. That's a tag to get people, like the gentleman who just spoke, upset. This is not about book banning.
That way, please.
This is about
Speak to the board. Speak to the board.
I'm telling him, and I'm speaking to them as well. Thank you. Appropriately placing books, putting books so that we don't have books that are inappropriate for little kids. And I'm not talking about LGBTQ. I'm talking about sex and profane language and inappropriate pictures and graphics. That is the books that many of us are speaking of. We are not speaking about LGBTQ. Nobody feels like those kids are not welcome. Nobody feels like we don't want them in our libraries, in our societies, in our schools, in our friend group. None of them. We want these books placed appropriately so that parents can make the decision on if their kids should see these books, if they want them to see the books. You know, you spoke and said parents should have the right to make these decisions, and I absolutely agree. But unfortunately, the way the books are titled, different kinds of fruits. This is one that's up for today. Different kinds of fruits. You read the title, you read the jacket, you read the review, you read the summary. There is no way to know what the book is about based on the title of the book. And that is how it used to be. We would go, our kids would pick out books and we allowed them to read whatever they wanted. That is not the case anymore because the subject matter of these books is hidden, and it's hidden from parents. So if this is not really about book banning, which we're saying it's not, and you're saying it is, why don't we just take these books and put them in a specific location, in a specific room? Lots of counties, cities do this. Don't get rid of them, just put them in a place so that parents know that that's where the books are. And if you want your kids to see them, or we want our kids, we can go take them there and show them the books. So that's all this is about. I'm so tired of the people standing up and saying this is about book banning. It is not.